Man was created in God's image to rule and to take dominion over the earth, but there was still a process of maturing they had to go through, a history of growing and understanding of how the world actually works. There was no yada in them. Hello, my friends. Welcome to today's vlog episode. Man, doing this episode has been challenging. I'm pretty sure I've started over like 5 times and I just couldn't articulate what I was trying to say. So I thought I had finished it and then it just kind of jumbled up, but I finally figured it out. And so the title for this vlog episode is An Introduction to Yada. I think that's how you say it. Yada. Anyways, but before we go into the word yada, I just wanted to say thank you for the Facebook posts, the messages, the phone call, and to those that actually came to my dinner for my birthday. It was really special. Had a lot of fun with just a few group of my friends, and they were just there we just got to celebrate together and had chicken tikka masala, because chicken tikka masala from the India Palace here in Medford, anywhere really, but the chicken tikka masala is a delight to the soul. I just gotta try it, just to get try it to experience this dish. I just love it. Secondly, my family and I just got back from Chicago last week and I made a little video highlight reel. And this is different than my sister's graduation highlight reel. You can watch that somewhere here and there's a link on this video if you haven't seen it. That was a lot of fun to edit too, but I edited another video. You will see it here in a moment. Just my first couple of days there. And it was a lot of fun to edit as well, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So we made it to Chicago. There's my sister, Brenda. We're in Jollibee getting some food. Well, I'm not eating, but they are.
We're about to go visit Nanay and Tatay, aka Grandma and Grandpa, and here's the adventure. First the Cafe.
Viettown.
A really super chill and cute coffee shop up in Argyle.
What'd you get?
I got a lavender limeade. It's very good. It's like lemonade with splashes of lavender.
I have one more day of fasting. Almost done. Almost there.
Almost there.
Almost there. Well, I hope you guys liked that video. If you appreciated it, you can click the like button and let me know or comment. That's totally cool too. But I had a lot of fun editing that video. It took a while, but it was fun. Now, let's dive into this word yada. So I want to talk about yada because it actually goes along the lines with Habakkuk 2:14, which is, if you don't remember what the scripture is, I'm trying to unpack it and really study it to see what it means in the biblical narrative. And Habakkuk 2:14 says, "The knowledge of the glory of the Lord will cover the earth as waters cover the sea." Last week we talked about the word kabod, and I'm not done with the word kabod. We're going to continue that next week, but it's important to know the word yada because I think it's going to reveal something that's pretty significant in the next few episodes. There's this literary guideline that scholars have used to understand the scripture, and it's called the principle of first mention. Essentially, this principle says that to understand a particular word, we must find the first place in scripture that word is revealed and study that passage. So speaking of knowledge, the Hebrew word for that is yada. First time yada was mentioned in the Bible was in Genesis 3 verse 5, when the serpent was tempting man to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And it says, "For God knows, yada, that when you eat from it, you will become like God, knowing yada, good and evil." And so basically, essentially, he is saying that God knows something that you don't, that he's withholding something from you, and if only you eat this, that you'll know something. Man ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and when they ate yada, they knew, and when they ate, they knew, they yada, that they were naked. There's something about this word yada that's pretty special, because you're probably wondering, as I did, what about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? Is that not the word yada? And in fact, it's not. It's another word. It's actually the word da'ath. Now the differentiation is very important. Da'ath is an informal kind of knowing. Like I mentioned in the previous episode, there's a difference between knowing about someone and actually knowing someone. Da'ath, it's not deep. It's almost like it's surface level. There's a separation between you, what you know, and who you are. Yada is much deeper. It's intimate. It's about experience. There's history, because what you experience usually become part of who you are. So the fourth time the word yada appears in the Bible is Genesis 4:1, and it says, "Adam knew Eve. Adam yada Eve, and she conceived and gave birth to Cain." So that kind of confirms that there's something deeper about this word yada that the writers are actually wanting to let us know, that when they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, there's an experience, there's this thing that happened inside of them. There's this almost like a change in their mindset, because now it's no longer about knowing something from a distance, it's knowing something intimately. They become one with it, knowing both good and evil. So essentially when the serpent said that if they ate of the tree, they will become like God, knowing yada, good and evil, he was offering them a shortcut. Because later on, God said himself that a man have become one of us, knowing good and evil. There was an understanding God had about good and evil that man wasn't supposed to know yet. Man was created in God's image to rule and to take dominion over the earth, but there was still a process of maturing they had to go through, a history of growing and understanding of how the world actually works. There was no yada in them. So when they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the ath knowledge became yada knowledge. Their eyes were opened and they knew that they were naked. There's something here that the writers are telling us that we might not be able to see from a surface level, but if you really dig down to it, there's something about knowing good and evil that's very costly. Because their eyes were opened and they saw that they were naked. Knowing good and evil is very costly because you become the judge. You hold the power to say this is good and this is bad. And when you hold that power, the very first person you point that power to is yourself. It says when their eyes were opened, they not only saw their nakedness and their vulnerability and their weakness, but they also saw the other person's nakedness and vulnerability and weaknesses. You not only become the judge of yourself, but you also become the judge of others. See, because when we have this power of knowing good and evil, it gives us power. It gives us there's this weight that falls into us, this responsibility, and if we don't know how to handle it, there's death. And I think that's why in the Proverbs it says that that life and death is in the power of the tongue. So there's this maturity that needs to happen for us to actually be able to handle good and evil. And it's interesting because in Hebrews it says that the mature are those who are able to discern good from evil. When we grow in maturity, we can acknowledge that we don't have it all together and it's okay. We acknowledge our own nakedness and our own vulnerability, and we're not ashamed of it. We're in the process, and that's good. It's where we're building history and experience, and that's where life actually is found. We become who God calls us to be by going through the journey of growth. And this is actually where Yada comes from. So then you're probably asking, like, what does this have to do with the word kabod, the word glory in Habakkuk 2:14? Well, if you really think about it, it says that the knowledge of the glory of the Lord will fill the earth as waters cover the sea. If this yada is about experience, if this yada is about this weightiness, knowing the weight of something, knowing the value of something, then we actually have to become one with this knowledge. We have to know, and we have to know it in a deep way for us to actually understand, for us to know, for us to see the knowledge of the glory of the Lord filling the earth. Then we actually have to know it in a deeper way than what we currently know. And that's why it's not enough that the glory of the Lord has already filled the earth. It's about experiencing it and knowing it. It's about Yada. I'm definitely a better writer than I am a speaker on camera. But I am still learning how to write as well. That's still not my strong suit. But I'm in that process of growing and maturing, and I guess that's kind of like an example of me learning how to speak and how to write and how to share and how to open up my mouth and contribute with what I'm doing. Is I'm actually going through a process of growth, a journey of growth where there's this deeper knowing that's happening when I speak. There's this deeper knowing that happens when I talk or when I type, that it's not just information, but it's become me. That what I'm talking about is not informal, but it's intimate. So that's the yada. I think that's the yada we're talking about, is where I'm embodying what I'm actually saying, you know? And there's impartation there because it's becoming, and I know inside of me, and there's conviction, and there's belief, and there's nothing can convince me that this is my experience. It's like nothing can convince me that my name isn't Christian, because that's the name I was given at birth, and I've been living with that name for 29 years. And for me to say that I'm not Christian, or my name isn't Christian, I can't separate that, because it's become me. It's deep, it's ingrained, it's yada. And that's the word yada. You become one with it. And so when we're talking about the knowledge of the glory of the Lord filling the earth, it's that we become one with it.